switches with Pasternak. Pasternak's blast scores! David Pasternak! Ekholm's drive, save, rebound. Smith and Rask rob Smith in close. Tuukka Rask coming up big on the penalty kills. With Bjork into the middle for Krejci, back to even straight. Jake DeBrusk is on the board! His first National Hockey League goal. The Bruins lead 2-1. And Louis loves it. Hey, the tough guy sheds a tear. Your son makes the National Hockey League and scores in his NHL debut. Good for you, big man. Krejci cuts back. Bjork, now McAvoy scores! Charlie McAvoy! Defense to offense transition, and the kids have Boston up by 2. And an empty netter! Brad Marchand from the Bruins zone with a dagger. And the Bruins hold off Nashville to win the season opener 4-3.
And welcome to the first Bruins beat of the regular season here. Well, I guess we did one as the season was coming upon us, but this is the first Bruins beat of the 2017-18 season here on CLNS Media. Jimmy Murphy here with Joe Gill. And Joe, the Bruins 1-1 out of the gate. As we record this, they're taking the ice in Colorado for warm-ups, I believe, or maybe in a bit they are. And they'll be taking on the Avalanche again, who they lost to in the second game of the season on Columbus Day 4-0. They did, however, win their season opener against the defending Western Conference champion,
impressive as hell,
Nashville Predators. It was a good win. It was very exciting. I saw a lot of things I liked, but you know, one thing we notice all the time, Joe, especially in hockey, is you got to pay attention to the ends of games. And
for sure.
There were a lot of things at the end of the game that, like, you were like, oh, well, these are the things we're going to have to sort of trade off for all the excitement we're seeing, and that's fine.
Yeah,
but I think it carried over. You see this happen a lot, especially in hockey. It carried over into Monday, and I think that the Bruins were flat. I mean, day games are tough to get up with, but I think they were flat as a result of the way they finished the game before. There were a lot of flaws that were sort of creeping out, and I think they were exposed by all accounts, is not that great a Colorado team, but they are 2-1 as they head into the battle Wednesday night.
Well, it got a little hairy at the end of that Nashville game. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
But
and I'm just talking about, the turnovers at mid-ice. You saw a lot of that against Colorado,
Yeah, the last minute goals and periods, which just drives me to no end. Drives me fucking bananas when they do that. Crazy, because you fall asleep at the wheel. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
The Colorado game, fortunately, I had to run errands. I could not see the game, but when it was a 4-0 shutout, I just knew the Tuukka Rask hate train was coming into station.
Huh?
I heard he played pretty shitty, but I'm also was told.
I wouldn't say that he had an off game, but it was by no means his fault. There was one goal that was his fault. That's it.
The whole team sucks. So what my thing I actually had there's this guy Ryan who's actually in my chat room too, who actually hates Rask to no end. And I said, you know what? If you going on the premise that Rask sucked, then you should bench the whole team, and you could play 1-on-6 versus Colorado. So see how that goes. I mean, that's just it. No one has it. Everybody bitches, and nobody has any solution. So come to me with a solution, and then it's like when you work in corporate America. If there's a problem, they don't want to know there's a problem. They want to know how you're going to fix it. So, all you Rask haters, come and fix it and let me know how you're doing. Because Malcolm Subban ain't going to save you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's two games in a season. People got to chill, and they definitely got to chill on Rask. I mean, I'm looking at it. People are going to say, he blew that goal where he came out of the crease and he tried to race down Yakupov. You know what? I don't blame him there. I blame Jake DeBrusk. Jake DeBrusk is the one who coughed it up and made that play develop. And Rask is, that's kind of a 50-50 shot you're taking there anytime a goalie comes that far out. He believed in himself. He took a gamble. He lost. End of story. I don't blame Rask on that goal. I blame Rask, though, on the first goal where he basically just like he hadn't got into the game yet and went to glove it, and it just trickled off his glove and into the net. He's going to have a little more concentration there. But so are the youth on his team, Joe. I mean, and I think the Bruins know that. They understand. They're ready to be patient. We'll see. We'll see, though. If they're going to like a 10-game losing streak, we'll see how patient they are. But,
right.
I think there's sort of this, let's see how these kids develop. Let's see how it goes attitude, and hopefully we can compete. And they're not setting unrealistic expectations. And Joe, I had a chance to go one-on-one with Don Sweeney last week at Media Day. And we're going to play that interview for you right now. We'll warn our listeners. Some construction going on at Warrior Arena.
Oh, my God. I heard that. I was like, what's going on?
Thank God it's not. I don't have to sleep near there or something. Oh, my God. It was
God. Hey, but you know what? Applause to Donnie because he just went in stride with it. He spoke up for you and all that.
And I thought he was pretty forthcoming and honest and, really gave some thoughtful, insightful answers. So we're going to play that interview for you right here. Here you go.
What was the key for you, let's just say, for example, last year through the coaching change and everything, for you to be able to maintain your plan?
Well, it definitely starts with the communication, and it starts with the support. I've tried to effectuate what the plan was, and clearly you go through some twists and turns as a result of, we tried to remain competitive. We've always felt that we had a core group that deserved that, and but also getting to be deeper. And that was all part of it, Charlie and some of these guys coming online, that's what we're hoping for. They dictate the trajectory of it, so at times you do have to, sort of just grin and bear it, to tell you the honest truth, James. Like you know the noise is coming. I created some of that. I understand, some of the decisions we've made, I knew they would reverberate to some degree. But, the path has sort of been laid out, and, can we hope to accelerate it? Of course. We're hoping to be able to, our core guys want to win. And that's what it's all about. It's at the end of the day, it's about winning.
You say the support there. There's a template sort of across the NHL for GMs, the 5-year plan, so to speak. You're in the third now. Do you think if you don't make the playoffs last year, you're still here? I mean, do you like to feel it?
I don't speculate on that. To tell you the honest truth, I set a course to take advantage of an opportunity that I was presented with, that I felt that I had earned. Nobody deserves it, but you felt you had earned, and if it happens, you have success, then that's great. I've also kept it in mind that most of the time these jobs don't end well. There's an end point at some for everyone. I just expect us to have the success along the way that I plan to have. I felt that way as a player.
There was a thing, there was a sense around the city, maybe we created, what have you, but that the culture was sort of going the wrong way, that the team was heading the wrong way. And yet, if you really paid close attention, I talk to scouts sometimes, who a lot of them speak pretty highly of you, it wasn't. This was a plan, and it was in place. How did you help the team as a whole, whether it be Bruce after the coaching change or that the players just sort of maintain that atmosphere that we are heading in the right direction to the point where you have a player like Pasternak who wanted to sign here?
Communication is probably the area that you need to be very cognizant of. The players have questions; they want access. You can't give them all the information, the details, but making sure they understood what we were trying to accomplish. Is it at the pace that they would like? Maybe not. And continuing to make sure Pasternak's a good example. But was asked 2 years ago at the draft, well, that means you're moving so-and-so to go get a defenseman and so on. I kept saying, like, we're trying to find, really talented young players that want to play here, just like Berge, just like Kretsch. When we've done it really well, Marsh, every one of those players have moved through the course that you're just describing. And that's what I wanted to get back to. I wanted players excited about the next guy coming, and that's part of it. The culture piece, we're very fortunate to have Zdeno and Berge and Marsh growing into that role, and real players that, you look at Kevin Miller and Adam McQuaid, two character guys that take a lot of heat, but boy, oh boy, they show up every day, wanting to win and to try and get better, and that helps Brandon Carlo. All those guys get in a position where they can succeed.
You mentioned sort of that leadership core that has developed. What kind of role did they play in that, and how grateful were you for that last year?
Well, I call it investment. they've invested in this organization, and I want to prove to them that we are invested to be the best organization we can be from top to bottom. That meant improving, areas of this facility where the investment came in. That meant adding to our medical staff and improving there. That meant, whatever small little detail that we could try to, realize that there was a mutual investment going on. And I think our players, as I've recognized to them, you guys have invested. So we want to make sure we're always matching that.
And the kids see that.
Player coming in, realizing how they've invested and how much more they need to put forth to be the player and to be the organization that hopefully we aspire to be.
Do you think that's a reason that, I don't see what's behind closed doors, but it seemed to go smoother than expected, the transition from Claude to Bruce mid-season. Is that one of the reasons you think, because you had that veteran core in place?
I think they deserve a tremendous amount of credit. They really did, and you're talking about players that, in Brad's case, had
become
never played,
friends with him. Yeah.
But he had never played for another NHL coach.
Yeah,
and they've won a Stanley Cup with that coach.
Yeah,
Claude's a damn good coach, and our players there was a shock associated with it. They took ownership of some of it, feeling like, as I did when I played for different coaches, and realizing that I was part of the, you want to be part of the solution. You understand you're also part of the problem.
Yeah. Because
you weren't as good as what maybe you were capable of being, and I think our players themselves and our leadership deserves a tremendous amount of credit for getting us through that.
And just one more question further back. You mentioned all these young players coming in. How impressed have you been with your scouting staff that you've assembled, and the guys that are out there, the bird dogs, watching these kids and who's bumfuck?
Yeah, it's clearly one of the hardest jobs, if not the hardest job in hockey. I think all sports face it, and they're underappreciated to a large degree. You try to communicate with them that they are doing a great job, and try to encourage them to realize, you find a guy like Anders in the 5th round, man, look how impactful it potentially can be for an organization. When you make the right decisions, you feel really good as an organization that it was a collaborative effort. And I've been tried to realize that every little detail that they're bringing to the table adds to hopefully us making the best decision.
So, look, Joe, as I said to him there, and I admitted it, we were part of it. A lot of people were all over them last year. A lot of people have been all over Don Sweeney since he took the job, me being one of them at times. But, one thing I try to do, and I think you do too, I've noticed, is you give credit where credit's due. And the guy blocked out a lot of noise. He stuck to his guns.
Yep.
I don't know how, but he appears, and I don't think it's just, him saying it publicly but not really telling the truth. It appears that, Neely and Jacobs are not taking, I won't say a hands-off, but they backed up approach. And that's going to help the Bruins right now in the situation they're in because, like we said before, they got to wait and see, have some patience, and see where it goes. What was your take on that?
Well, as you said, it's a 5-year plan, right? So what year are we in now? 3?
It's his third year, yep.
Okay, so, after the Bruins, after the 13 Cup run, the 14 President's Trophy, and then falling off a cliff, I think a lot of people had no patience, myself included, because it was such a drastic fall, right? It was such a drastic falling off the cliff. It wasn't like, 8 seed, 6th, 8th seed fall to the playoffs. It was best team in the league out of the playoffs. Yeah. So that's why I think Don might have got a bad shake. You know what I mean? He didn't really get his opportunity because everybody was pretty pissed off from the Chiarelli fallout, right? Kind of what he left him. I said he left him 100-foot mountain of shit with a teaspoon. That's exactly what he had to deal with. So I think, even when he had to keep those 3 draft picks and pick them in a row in the first round, I was like, what is he doing?
One of them's in the lineup playing on the first line now.
Yeah, right. I know they're going after, I think, Hannafin, and they didn't get him. But yeah, so you got Dabrowski's play. He's already, come to fruition. He's already in the lineup. Was Zaboril's doing pretty deep? You tell me because I'm not really following him.
He's doing okay. He has a chance to maybe see some time up here, depending on how he performs for sure. He went deep into camp. And
the other kid's in Providence, right?
Yeah, they got a lot of kids in Providence that could come up. They just called one up, Danton Hine.
The kid they drafted, which is Cision.
Zach's Cision.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're all, they're pushing on the door, and they've got guys like you said that have already entered the lineup that are having an impact and are in position to have a bigger impact. It's the future's bright. And you just got to be patient.
Yeah, I think As we said, wild cards definitely within their reach. I think you made a good point when you did your remote from the Bruins practice. I think it's you're going to have a lot of growing pains here. There's going to be, especially. I mean, think about it too. Two of their top four centers were out in that game against Colorado, right? They had no backups.
And Patrice Bergeron is not playing again.
Which sucks, I know. What's going on there, man? I'm kind of worried.
I mean, I haven't heard anything. This is just my speculation, but I just think it's his ankle again. I mean, he's obviously been dealing with a serious ankle issue since not this past September just now, but last September at the World Cup.
Did he hurt that in the World Cup of Hockey right after?
Yeah, so this is, it's just been a nagging thing. I'm sure he's got a couple other bumps and bruisers that nag him over the years that he's built. But, the one thing I look at right now, and that's probably, I would say, there's two things right now that worry me the most about the Bruins, and that's one of them, Patrice Bergeron's health.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because, you can have all these kids step up and do it, but I don't know. I don't think they can do it on a, 82-game basis. I think they could do it for at least half the season, but there's going to be, like we said, ups and downs. And if you don't have a player like Patrice Bergeron in there to compensate those ups and downs for the growing pains of the young kids, you're in trouble. And, I think that's a huge thing to watch right now for the Bees because I think there's a lot of optimism around the team, but all of a sudden there's a little nervousness. And, you look at the other thing is Zdeno Chara. He's been all right the first two games.
Yeah, right.
Special, right? But one thing that worries me, and I know it's only 2 games. Let's see how it goes on a road trip. Let's see what his time on ice average is when he gets back. But, Kevin Paul DuPont made a good point in a recent column he wrote. And he's like, I thought we were going to try and minimize Chara's minutes a bit here. And they're not doing that. It's not like they have injuries on D where they have to compensate and have him pick up more minutes. Everything's in place right now for them to gradually minimize his minutes. And right now, I think he's the leading ice getter on the Bruins on defense.
Yeah, you had Krug out, right? So that you had to pick up the slack,
you're right. My bad. So, that is a big thing. Well, you had him out one game. Yeah,
he had one game, but I didn't watch the game like I said the other day. Is he wearing I assume he's wearing a shield with the jaw.
Yeah, but Chara played more minutes Monday than he did the first game. So you got Krug back, and yet you still
right.
They better watch that. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he's got tread on those tires. There's no doubt about it. But I mean, honestly, I'd rather have him out there than Adam McQuaid. I think Adam McQuaid.
I think you're wrong, and I thought it was great that Don Sweeney in that interview went to bat for Kevin Miller and Adam McQuaid. Because you think Adam McQuaid is shite, and I'm guaranteeing you, whether you want to admit it or not, it's just a natural tendency of people to do that because of their salary. And it's not Adam McQuaid's fault
that's not
that
true.
He's making too much money.
No, he's injury prone beyond injury prone. I don't think he's played a full season since they won the Cup in 11. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's
You're right.
Pretty close. And Kevin Miller and him are the same guy. And I was not a Kevin Miller fan, but at the end of last year, he picked it up and he played pretty damn well. So
okay, that's fine. And you make a good point about the injuries there with McQuaid. But I mean, let's not say he sucks. He doesn't suck. I think he's a very valuable player.
He's an NHL defenseman.
He's not an NHL defenseman. Are you kidding? Oh, that's what.
No,
I
said, Jimmy.
Oh,
you got to get the pot of gold out of your ears, laddie. I just said he is an NHL defenseman, so he can't suck.
Yeah. I think if you use him for what he is, and you don't judge things based on his money, and you accept him for what he is, I think he lives up to his billing quite a lot. And I agree with you. I think Kevin Miller really developed the end of the year last year. I think those are two serviceable guys, and that's the least you're.
Yeah, they're serviceable. Yeah, I hear you, and I'm happy you took the leprechaun joke in stride. That was good. But no, I mean, no, absolutely. I mean, their back end. Everybody thinks they're going to have the back end like they had in 11. I mean, that's far gone. McAvoy's coming up, and he's going to be probably the guy in another year. So I'm excited to see him. I mean, end of the day, Jimmy, it's exciting now. It wasn't like 2 years ago when everything was flatline and they started shipping out Lucic and changing everything and moving people out, and you got like no hope. And you know,
when they rebuilt, but they on the fly, and they said they didn't believe in that, and they weren't rebuilding, and nobody knew what they were talking about. But that's exactly what you did, and I give them credit. They did a good job at it, and so they're competitive, and they still got things coming. They're still rebuilding on the fly.
Right.
For sure. So I think that's a good thing. you look at this trip, and by the time most people listen to this, there'll be a result in the Bruins Avalanche game Wednesday night. But you have that game
in Vegas, right?
And then you go to Arizona and you go to Vegas. Vegas, I think, as you pointed out in the beginning when we hadn't started recording yet, Vegas is really, I think, surprised a lot of people out of the gate. But, you know, as my man Pam McGuire said earlier today, I heard him on the radio saying they did a very solid job of not only as they prepared for this season, the expansion draft and what have you, of last year, I think, and McGuire pointed out, I think he's right, they did a good job of scouting character and leadership, and you need that when you're starting
James
off.
Neal? I don't know about James Neal.
No, he's stepping up now, man, and from all accounts, he went
he's funny now. I mean, he's funny.
I don't know if you saw the x-rays of his injury. They didn't even know if he was going to play this year. They almost rescinded that move there. Like,
really? How did he get hurt? Like, he got hurt in the Cup final last year or before?
Yeah. So they were thinking he was in a lot of like there were going to be some problems there. They might even have to like send him back.
Wow.
So you know what he's doing out of the gate is unreal. I give a lot of credit to the staff there. You know, scouting the players and also to Gerard Gallant. And perfect segue there, my friend. Speaking of the Vegas Golden Knights.
Oh, yes, very excited.
We've got a very special guest coming up right now. I've known him since his days with the Providence Bruins. He's a great guy, and he did a great job. He's now legendary in Bruins lore. He was able to call that cup win. He was able to call that amazing Bergeron goal in Game 7 against the Leafs.
I still get chills when I hear that.
2013. And he is going to be joining us now after what was a very, very emotional and uplifting night in Las Vegas after the tragedy they went through.
Back down into the Vancouver zone with 5 seconds to go. The exit behind the Canucks net. Get the duck boats ready. Get the duck boats ready. After 39 long years, the cup is back home. The Bruins are 2011 Stanley Cup champions. There's Bergeron on one-timer. Save Reimer. Rebound loose at the top of the crease. Richard score! Bergeron in Game 7, and the Bruins win the series!
And here he is, the former voice of the Boston Bruins and the new TV voice of the Las Vegas Golden Knights. And he's joining us here on the Bruins Beat on CLNS Media, and that's Dave Gosher. Dave, Joe Gill, Jimmy Murphy here. How you been, my friend?
Hey, good, guys. That still sounds kind of odd. You know, the former voice. It still sounds kind of strange to me, but I get it. I know what's happening. So all things there.
Yeah, I'm still haven't gripped and accept as reality yet, Dave. So I still have that kind of. But also too, all your skits on 98.5. The Karate Kid and all that. Great memories there too.
Yeah, well, that was a lot of fun. That was. Toucher and Rich over there. Rich came to me as a long time, about 6 years ago. We did the first one of those, and it was right after the Cup. It was right after the Bruins had won the Cup, and I want to say there was a stretch of time between when they won it and maybe I don't know if it might have been before or after the parade. I can't remember that part, but Rich said to me, "Hey, can you come in this room and call play-by-play of movies?" And I said, "What the hell are you talking about?" Well, that's what you do, right? That's all you do is just describe what you see. I said, "Yeah, that's all there is to it. I'm like a trained chimp, So.
Dave, the other ones with the marathon runner that couldn't really hold their, I guess hold the trunk.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, they had. He was disqualified for excrement problems.
All timer. Those are that is actual goal. I wonder if the people out in Vegas know about your other career. So.
Yeah, I don't know. We might have to keep it Boston exclusive.
Yeah, exactly. Gosh. Well, hey, if the TV thing doesn't pan out, Dave, there's plenty of comedy places around there. You could pick up some side work. You'd be all right.
I'd love to hear his whole
play-by-play movie scenes. If it all falls apart, I could just go do play-by-play movie scenes.
There you go. You're in a perfect place. But listen, Dave. Let's start off and go back. You're telling us a little offline. You saw this sort of developed over the summer, and you get hired. And I guess just what was it like coming in to a team that had never played before, the brand new organization. You're part of that. Just talk to us about the excitement of that, the unknown, and I guess what is still unknown as you go forward here.
Yeah, and I think, to a certain extent, honestly, Murph, that drew me to it a great deal. I mean, it was to be starting something new and different, and I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, the move to television is something that it's been somewhere in the back of my mind for a while. And with that being said, until I guess the early August, no one had ever offered me a TV play-by-play job full time. So, I had done packages of games here and there. So to come out here and be a part of this, and I think a lot of people out here kind of liken it to a startup company to a certain extent, but it's a startup company that they pay $500 million to get in the NHL, so they've got a lot on the line, and but it's been for me really refreshing to see a lot of hungry people, a lot of young people that I think are really committed to making this work, and quite honestly put a hell of a lot of work into it, much more than me strolling in here, about a month ago. I mean, all the real hard work was done, many months before I showed up. So, I'm happy that the early returns have been really good, and I'm happy for them because, as they say, they're the ones that really put the work into this.
Dave, obviously, as they got closer to the season, I'm sure that, we'll get to the tragic events of the last week and then what happened in the home opener there in a bit. But as they build closer to this, give us a sort of an inside feel of what the anticipation and excitement was amongst fans, amongst people in the city, because I know that, there was some question marks from around the NHL and the sports world. Can a pro sports team survive in Vegas? And are the people that live there really going to care? They're going to have enough of a real home fan base there, or is it just going to be, guys from Boston doing it when they're on a vacation, or New York and Canada, what have you? What has the feeling been amongst the community there as this has gotten closer?
Yeah, everybody that I've talked to has been just incredibly psyched about it, and I think that my understanding is they're probably going to sell out every game this year, or if not every game close to it. Yeah, wow. And I think at last check they had 14,000 season ticket holders, and as they say, guys, they put on just one hell of a push to get this, to get this franchise, and also to, they had to get I think it was 10,000 season tickets right off the bat just to even be considered. And everyone I've run across, and just kind of my day-to-day going from, point A to point B, couldn't wait for this to get going. I mean, I think they've wanted their own team for a long, long time. So, and again, that is something that kind of drew me to it, to be the TV announcer for the first ever sports team in Vegas, and kind of the entertainment capital of the world. I mean, not for nothing, but this is, one of the unique places on the planet, as you guys know. So,
yep.
I think people have been just incredibly pumped for it. And, as they say, the crowd last night was, a lot went into it, obviously, with those horrendous events of October 1st. But they were so, I mean, the first preseason game they had there, they pretty close to sold out. So,
that's great.
So far it's been great. And I know they're committed to building this long term and having it be a successful franchise. There's great people that, kind of running it, from Bill Foley right on down through, Murray Craven and George McPhee and Kelly McCrimmon. I mean, and that's another thing that I found it enticing, was that people that I have a lot of respect for that I thought, knew certainly what they were doing and what it takes to be successful in this league.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
Dave,
Joe,
what suite did they put you up in, and what hotel? Where are you living at?
Yeah. When I came out here, everything was pretty much over the phone interview-wise, but when I came out here, I guess at the end of August, to look at some places potentially to live, I was over the Red Rock Casino. I wasn't on the Strip, but Red Rock is a pretty good spot right off the Strip in Summerlin. So
nice.
But there's no shortage of places, that's for sure.
So, another question too. I mean, I think the appeal of the team too, of course, of the people that live there, but the fans that are evidently going to travel to Vegas to follow their teams. Yeah. I think you're going to have a lot of Bruins fans there on Sunday.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And I think I've already got a lot of texts and emails from different people that, that was the other thing. Was certainly, yeah, I was going to be picking up and moving, and there's a lot to that. But it's a place that, either Bruins fans or family and friends are certainly going to, it's a place they wouldn't mind visiting. To say
no doubt.
Yeah, so I think that was that made it pretty appealing as well. You know, I wasn't moving to Jupiter. I was moving to a place that's pretty.
Winnipeg or yeah.
Yeah, well, there's some other stops on the tour that probably aren't as nice to visit in the winter. So that was part of it too.
Easy on Winnipeg there, Joe. You know where his co-host is from, right? Where he was
I know.
Good old Shane Knight.
Would you rather be sitting by a pool or plug it in your car? I mean, come on. I mean, let's.
Yeah, well, there wasn't. I don't think it was much to ponder for the old sheriff there. When, from a climate standpoint, from a personal standpoint, it's a tough. You know, he's from that area, so it's
right.
But I think the winters in Vegas are going to be a tad more enticing than the winters in Winnipeg.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
Or even in Boston.
For sure.
Or Boston. Yeah.
Dave, you look at the team on the ice, and let's just talk. They're off to a 3-0-0 start. I think surprising a lot of people right here out of the gate. And yes, it's early, and there's a long season ahead. But I heard Pierre Maguire, actually today, he was talking on Montreal radio, and he said one thing that he thought that the whole staff there that you mentioned in Vegas did a great job of was not just looking at the analytics or the stats and the big-name players, but also doing a lot of investigating and scouting into the character and the leadership type of players that they were bringing in. And it appears right out of the gate they've got a good quantity of those.
Yeah, they do. You know, it's funny. I think one of the things that Gerard Gallant talked about a lot was they wanted from the beginning good people. And I think they were committed to building this team with good human beings. And, you know, especially in light of recent events, I mean, that has certainly come to the forefront. But
for sure.
And I also think maybe to a degree, guys, I mean, I think some of the players have talked about this. I mean, some of them have a bit of a chip on their shoulder. I mean, not all, but most on this team were left unprotected in the expansion draft. And I think they feel that they've got something to prove. So, you know, to your point, though, it is early. Look, I mean, they played 3 games. We didn't do the game last night because it was on NBCSN, but, you know, the first one in Dallas, Marc-Andre Fleury was unbelievable and gave them a chance to win, and James Neal came up big in the third period. And then I thought they dominated most of the game the next night, their second game they played in Arizona, and deserved to win. And Neal came up, you know, big form again in that game, so in overtime. So, yeah, and I will say, too, fellas, it's not like, you know, the expansion teams of 15 or 20 years ago. I mean, the way the expansion rules were kind of put together this time around, they were going to get some pretty good players. I mean,
right.
Jonathan Marchessault had 30 goals in Florida last year. James Neal's a perennial at least 20-goal guy. Riley Smith has had his good seasons in the NHL. Somebody like a Nate Schmidt, who's, you know, good young defenseman in Washington. And they've got a guy that's won 3 Stanley Cups in net in Fleury. So, you know, I think that's helped them too. This is, you know, it's not like it was, you know, back many, many years ago.
So, Dave, you were, of course, in Boston 2013 with the tragedy of the marathon, and you were there as well after October 1, what happened at the Country Fest show there. I already seen, you know, from a distance, all the Golden Knights are playing, and it feels like that even with the 2013 Red Sox, if you remember. It's just sports really kind of bonds people, brings people together, puts smiles on their faces when they didn't think they could smile. I know it's early in 3 games in the season, but do you feel that there may be a little bit of magic there that could really help that city heal?
Yeah, I certainly hope so, Joe. I mean, you know, look, as you said, I mean, being, you know, we all lived through the marathon bombings in 2013, and I think that one of the things I've mentioned here is that I do think sports can help, you know, and, you know, the Bruins were as you remember, the Bruins, that was that lockout shortened year. They were supposed to have a game that night. And, you know, that got canceled, obviously, and then played on the Wednesday.
Against Buffalo.
Rene Rancourt let the crowd sing the anthem, which is still, you know, gives me goosebumps even just thinking about it. And then they had a game canceled on the Friday because the manhunt was still going on. So there was, I guess my point, I tried to mix people here, and, you know, we all remember David Ortiz. He wasn't in much doubt as to whose city it was, if I remember it Fenway, you know. So, and I think the Celtics were still in season then. I think they might have been in the playoffs. So I just think all those teams, you know, they helped. I think people, you know, try to heal as best you can. Look, it's far from a cure-all, and I understand that. And that's what I've tried to kind of stress here. But I just think it gives people something else to focus on for 2 or 3 hours a day,
Right.
and get away from all the pain and get away from everything that's happened a little bit. And hey, look, and if they go right back to it, then that's understandable. But at least it's a little bit of a reprieve from just the dreadful events that happened here. We had 3 people in our office that were at that concert that fortunately got out safely, but they saw things that no humans should ever see. So
Right.
it hits it hits pretty close to home, obviously, and I felt the same. The Monday, that was on a Sunday night, obviously. The Monday here, just kind of that stunned silence and people walking around just kind of in a daze, and it brought me right back to those days, kind of right after the marathon.
Joe,
I mean, it was,
you got a follow up there, Joe?
Yeah, I just looked. It was just I saw the highlights of the footage of when they brought all the first responders out at the game last night. I thought that was utmost class, and really, end of the day, people think athletes are heroes, but at the end of the day, they're really not. It's the first responders, the police, the firefighters, the medical staff, things like that. Those are the true heroes.
Well, yeah, I mean, I got to tell you guys, I mean, they, if you think about from an organizational standpoint, the people that kind of run the game night entertainment, and
Right.
they do a phenomenal job.
They had to pull a 180, eh?
They had to switch everything. I mean, they had to change. So it's the first ever, your home opener is your home opener. It's the first home game in the history of the franchise. So they had to shift everything.
Wow.
They're going to do most of that Friday night before the game against Detroit. But, they had to change everything. And so I can't say enough good things. I mean, people are a hell of a lot smarter than me, and it wouldn't take a lot to plan a night like that, and the emotion of it. But I thought, to keep it very respectful, and I think the thing that probably got to me the most was the 15-second silence.
Oh my God!
People that we lost out here, but it also I think was then you always want to have the team to react because it is such an emotional thing. But I think if anything, they drew a lot of inspiration from it. But they certainly played that way. I mean, the game was over in about 11 minutes. They scored 4 goals. So yeah, it was awesome to come out of a ceremony like that, and then see the team play as well as they did.
And I want to say, guys, I thought one of the things that stood out to me was Derek Englund and the way he spoke there and sort of took it upon himself to step out from the rest of the players there and seize that moment and be a leader there. Like he was amazing. I would put the C on his jersey right now, Gosha, if I was at the Golden Knights.
Yeah. I mean, he's he's a guy too that he's lived here the last 14 summers. This is his home. He met his wife here when he was playing in the East Coast League when Vegas 2-7 East Coast League came back. 2003, 2004, I guess it was, and they wanted. Well, look, that's as you guys know, that's not. From a player standpoint, that is not their forte to grab a microphone in front of 18,000 people, and so yeah, and I thought he kept it short and sweet and right on the money, and and then you couldn't write the script any better, and then he's not a guy that you're going to count on to score a lot of goals, but he ripped in. I think it was the second goal of the game, which was just phenomenal. So it was great stuff.
And I thought an interesting. I forget who the player was I saw, Dave, but I mean, you might even be experiencing this yourself because you're new to the city as well. So many of these guys aren't like England, and so many of them have only visited here and not really understood or felt the community that probably a lot of us don't see. I mean, we go there as tourists. We're there to have fun, gamble, do whatever, see the sights. But I don't think we know that it is an actual city, and I forget, it's killing me right now, but one of the players was just like, I just didn't understand how tight-knit this city is right now, and to see the way they've come together has been amazing to me. I'm wondering, have you experienced that as well, just sort of learning more about the community through this?
Yeah, well, and I had what I think most people, hey, we've all been to Vegas and you do your thing, right? You go up and down the strip for 4 days.
Exactly.
Yeah, 4 days is about enough.
And you need to go home. But, it's, I think that's the experience of just kind of coming here for a long weekend. But to live here, look, I've only been here a month, but there's a hell of a lot more to it than just the Vegas Strip and, it's, how scenic it is. I mean, you get out towards Red Rock Canyon and Summerlin. It's just a gorgeous area in the mountains. And, But I also think I can't remember. It's probably more than one player said it's a big city but a small community. And that's kind of the feeling I've gotten is people have, to me have been incredibly welcoming, and I think for the players, I mean, the odd thing about the timing of all this is you're right. I mean, outside of Derek England, this area is new to everybody. It's the players had only been here a couple of weeks. They had played preseason games. We had a preseason game that night. Earlier that night, the night of the shootings, and Shane Knighty and I actually drove right by Mandalay Bay, probably an hour before everything happened. So it's just, it was, that's the part that it was new to everybody. But I think if anything, when something like that happens, I think maybe they're even more galvanized to want to be part of the community. And George McPhee said that guys, the first meeting they had the next day, guys were coming forward, they were stepping up and they were speaking and they were saying, look, we're going to do anything we have to do to try to help people, which I thought was awesome.
I think exactly what showed with the city is when you saw the next day the people waiting in line to give blood. I mean, that was unbelievable.
It was great stuff. Hey, Dave, let's talk before we let you go here. Let's go back to some of your time in Boston there. And obviously, we already referenced it there that year of the marathon bombings. And then, of course, the Bruins have that amazing comeback against Toronto and then go to the final that year. But going back, I mean, it's got to be tough, obviously, for you to pinpoint other than, maybe that year and the cup-winning year. But what else stands out to you from your time calling the games for the Boston Bruins in 98.5, the Sports Hub?
Yeah, I think that's most of it, Murph. I mean, look, I did the game 17 years, and it's, especially, I guess, from the time Claude Julien took over in 2007, I mean, they actually built a team that was a championship team and a team that contended to win it again in 13. And I think those are probably the things I remember the most. I mean, that cup run in 11, the first round series against Montreal, where they won 3 of the 4 games. They won in overtime. The Nathan Horton with some enormous goals in that series, including Game 7 and Game 5 and double overtime. That one, I think that gets lost in the shuffle sometimes, is that he scored in double overtime in Game 5 against Montreal, right? And the Game 7 in Tampa Bay 1-0, which still might be the best game I've seen in person, right? I mean, it was phenomenal, and the whole series against Vancouver that year. I mean, a buddy of mine from back home had come out to Vancouver for the first 2 games of that series, and they lost the first 2 games. We were sitting having a beer afterwards and thinking, Jesus, they got a ways to go to win 4 out of 5, and sure enough, they did. So, yeah, I think those are the comeback against Toronto was unbelievable. I think the parade in 2011, that's probably the other thing that I would think about the most. I mean, I think every time to this day I go down Boylston Street, I think of it. That Boylston Street's one way, this way, if you know what I mean, but they closed it to traffic, and the parade route went the other way down Boylston Street. And I just remember people packed in 25 and 30 deep and hanging out of windows and, standing on top of the bus stop. I mean, it was just hanging out of trees.
I was 38 years old.
It was unbelievable,
I was crying at 38 years old, and it was okay. It was completely okay. Because,
right.
I never saw a cup. So, I mean, it was just unbelievable. And, honestly, I thought there were going to be more. Because I thought with the nucleus there, and we don't want to get into it with Jimmy because he likes Peter Chiarelli a lot, and I want to upset him. But it just felt like there was going to be a dynasty. I don't know. Did you feel like the Bruins could have got a couple more out of that run, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to think back. I mean, the next year in 12, they lost to the Capitals in the first round.
Joe Ward,
which was a big upset in 7 games, right? With Joe Ward scoring and. I don't think there's any question they were kind of worn out, I think, from the long run of winning it the year before, And then, that 13 team, if you remember, they were up 3-1 against Toronto in that series. And then the next thing you know, they're down 4 goals with 11 minutes left in Game 7 and, had to come back for the ages. And that really kind of spurred them on. But they were, they were a Jekyll and Hyde team for that shortened year. I mean, some nights they looked like they would never lose, and other nights you really kind of shook your head. So, but that kind of galvanized that group. I mean, they went on and, they beat the Rangers in 5, and they swept Pittsburgh in the conference final, and then had a great series with Chicago. But, and I think probably that next year was the one that really kind of stung because that was the year they won the President's Trophy, right? And then lost to Montreal in the second round in 7. And so I think it's probably a combination of things, guys. And you hope maybe maybe they go on a run like Chicago of 3 cups in 6 years, or LA won a couple of cups in a 5 or 6 year period. Well, 2 cups in 3 years, but you know what I mean. Like it's, but for a variety of reasons, they want some players to free agency. They made some trades that probably didn't work out the way that most people wanted them to work out. I mean, but hey, those things, they happen as you try to build teams and build teams to win. And I will say that, I certainly think they're on the right road. I mean, with some of these young guys that have come in, and I've kind of kept an eye on, Jake DeBrusk and Anders Bjork and Charlie McAvoy I saw firsthand last year against the Ottawa Senators in that series. So I certainly think Don Sweeney and his staff have them, pointed in the right direction, which is a good thing.
I got to ask you, Dave, before we let you go here, just going back to those 2 memories you said are probably up there, the cup-winning game there in Game 7 Vancouver, and then the Bergeron goal. Wow. As an announcer, how many times do you, leading into something like that, do you envision that, and then how different is it when it actually happens there? Well, yeah, there were 2 different experiences, Murph. Like the comeback against Toronto, I mean, was ridiculous. I mean, I remember put it lightly, my phone with 12 minutes left, and I don't know, I was looking at my phone during a commercial break or something, and I was getting pissed because I had friends texting me saying, "This sucks. Do you want to play golf tomorrow?" Whatever. And then I kind of put the phone away, like I pushed it away from myself, And then when they came, I don't know, they got it to 4-3, or maybe it was after they tied the game. Bergeron tied it. I looked at my phone, and the tone of the text changed dramatically. Yeah.
Boston fans, of course.
Yeah. So that the Bergeron one was just really, kind of an organic, visceral reaction to I can't believe they just won this game. And plus, I think so much of Patrice as a person.
Oh, yeah.
I've known him since he came in the league when he was 18. So the duck boats was something that was just kind of floating around in my mind. I'm not a big fan of this is exactly what you're going to say, because I just think it sounds that way,
Right.
And but you got to remember at that point in time, the Red Sox had won 2 World Series in that period of time, and the Celtics had won it, and the Pats had won it 3 times. So I was just kind of that was what I kept thinking, is how the Bruins are going to have their own parade. So that's kind of what came out. But, there were 2 very different experiences. But those are kind of the ones I think I certainly, hear about the most.
And
you'll probably write some in Vegas too. You'll probably have some great calls in Vegas as well. So.
Yeah, somebody texted me after I got the job and said you might have to say something like "Get the slot machine ready" or something.
I hate it, Dave.
That's got the same ring to it,
Yeah.
Try meet us at the buffet at the Mandalay. Is it whatever?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you know what, Dave? I remember you back, and I think that's when I met you through our mutual friend and your colleague then, Tommy Hohol. And I remember meeting you in '99 when you were calling the P Bruins and they had won it. I met you back then, and I gotta say,
right.
Yeah, I gotta say, you've been on a hell of a ride, and here you are in Vegas, and we wish you nothing but the best, my friend, and I appreciate you joining us.
No, my pleasure, guys. Good to be with you, and I'm sure we'll connect here soon enough. My pleasure.
For sure.
Thanks
and
a lot,
anytime
Dave.
you're back
Great
in
memories,
Boston, we'll
man.
be here. Have a good one, man.
Good luck out there.
All right, guys. So we'll talk to you. You bet. Take care.
Dave Gosher, the
Great.
former
Thank
voice of the Boston Bruins and now the TV voice of the Vegas Golden Knights, joining us here on the Bruins Beat on CLNS. This has been another great episode. That was good times, Joe, huh?
One quick thing, Jim. One quick thing.
Yeah.
I just want to take this moment. I know it's not hockey, but I just want to take this moment to thank the New England Patriots for doing something great. As you may know, it's Cancer Month. I am a thyroid cancer survivor. I was at stage 3. I had a tumor in my neck that probably resembled a small baby's head. And I was chosen as a season ticket holder to be on the field for the Atlanta Falcons during the Patriots game, which is going to be the thrill of a lifetime. So these are great things about sports, right, Jimmy? We just talked about, Dave, that can lift you up, can really make you feel great and really get you through tough times. So that's just a little thank you.
No, it's great stuff. And that's why I love covering it. That's why we love cheering for it. And, it's good stuff. And, hey, that was great to hear from Ghost there. And
definitely.
We got a heck of a season ahead of us, I think, Joe. So I look forward to more of these on CLNS. This has been the Bruins Beat with Joe Gill and Jimmy Murphy.
Go Bruins.
Ladies and gentlemen, athletes are often referred to as heroes. Tonight, as we introduce your Vegas Golden Knights, we'd like to introduce our heroes, the heroes of Las Vegas. Those people whose actions on 1 October will forever remind us of the best of humankind.
All right, Golden Knights fans, it is time for history! NHL hockey has come home to Las Vegas! Let's tell Vegas and the world that we are ready for this! Go Knights, go! Go Knights, go! Go!
It's been really a roller coaster of emotion, obviously, this week, and I think what we hope to try to do a little bit tonight is to help people to heal a little bit.
Extra attacker on for the Golden Knights during a delayed penalty. Neal shot, deflected, score! James Neal let it go during a delayed penalty, and the first goal in Golden Knights history ties the game. Under 3 minutes to go. Eakin up the middle into the Dallas end. Feeds it to Neal, shot, score! James Neal from both knees puts it over Lettinen to give Vegas the lead.
That's it. In their first ever game in the National Hockey League, the expansion Vegas Golden Knights do what very few expansion teams do, and that is win in their debut.
Just watch you